Chat, welcome back to the channel. What's buzzing? It's your boy Hollywood. Okay, it took off right back on another video. Hmm. Actually, when it happens, when the mic, let's get YouTube from me here. This guy's piece of the Jesus. Right here. I guess the grass that they took from like 80 yards. All right. Turn that on down. Last night, he been arrested by the shooter. His mom was in a very difficult situation last night. What she's pouring against was obvious. The Derek had been there and told his nothing there. That's my wife. It's my wife. When I first married Michigan State, she ended up having a stroke. I was with her family in the North Side. There's another microphone. Mic check, 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 mic check. How the fuck they draft Shedeur Sanders? I just watch niggas that I think not even like a quarter as good as Shedeur Sanders. Like niggas is not even a quarter. Like first of all, the Steelers just picked up another player, a running back. What the fuck is going on here? Chat, what's going on here? Somebody tell me. I don't give a fuck. Johnny Man, they picked motherfucking Johnny Manziel. Like, let's talk. Let's talk about it. They picked fucking Johnny Manziel, chat. Johnny Manziel had off the field issues. That nigga text the coach. Like, bro, text the coach. Hold up, chat. Nigga, Johnny Manziel text the coach, nigga. He said, come get me. Like, can we talk about that? Or no? It's not appropriate? Y'all too loud, yo. I'm streaming. I'm streaming. Y'all go upstairs with that. Yeah, well, tell them to be quick. Keep it down some. Let's talk about it, chat. This nigga Johnny Manziel text the motherfucking coach. I'm here, come get me. The organization, whatever he did. There's no way in hell. Chat, ain't no way in motherfucking hell. Are we connected? Let's go regular speakers. Mike? There's no way in hell. Wait, listen. Shedeur Sanders was sentenced today to a little 7 years in prison. The judge also ordered Santos to pay back $370,000 to the people he's convicted of ripping off. I don't get why I can't change my mic now all of a sudden. Before I could. Not guilty. Federal prosecutors and U.S. attorneys intend to seek the death if Mangione is convicted. Like, what are we talking about, chat? Why the fuck Shedeur Sanders didn't get picked up yet? Anybody got a clue? Because I'm clueless, nigga. If anybody got a clue? Because I am clueless. They did not pick up Shedeur Sanders, but they just picked up a running back. They done picked 4 people by now. They don't even have a fucking quarterback at all. Steelers. Let's talk about the Steelers for now. I personally think the Jets can take them. We only got Justin Fields. That's not a for sure. Oh boy. That's not a for sure. Chat, that's not a for sure pick though. That's not a for sure like a franchise quarterback. Come on now. Let's be honorable, chat. That's not a fucking for sure pick. Jets didn't we didn't solidify shit. All right, let's open the draft, yo. Let's open the draft, chat. We're gonna open the draft on YouTube. Right.
And we are 86 picks in here. We have only had 3 quarterbacks taken. The last time this few quarterbacks have been taken was 2022. We had Kenny Pickett, Desmond Ridder, Malik Willis, and Matt Corral that year.
So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, about 15, 16 picks left.
Yeah.
Percent chance that Shedeur Sanders goes before day 3, which is a shocking sentence.
Right.
Well, the Raiders do pick at 34 and 35 in this round, 98, 99 overall.
I'm also looking at the Rams, too.
Yeah, I agree with the Rams as well. I mean, like, I would still put it above.
What about the Seahawks?
Seahawks, absolutely. Yeah, that's it. I would still put it above 50% that Shedeur goes, but man, we're at like 55, 60% at this point. Like it's dropping here. Shedeur Sanders on day 3, man. I'll tell you, I don't know if I do you have Shedeur Sanders with a chip on his shoulder? Did he have Shedeur Sanders with something to prove? Right?
Yeah.
Think about Amon-Ra St. Brown constantly listing all the receivers who went before him. You take Sanders and he goes pick 100, pick 110, 120, and he starts playing well because he's going to have that. I want to show these guys to him a little bit. The more picks Sanders goes, the more powerful I feel like that chip is going to become.
But Matt, how much does that matter? Because that's like Harry can go out there and run routes a little bit harder. Like I can go out there and give better effort on the offensive line. But I mean, how much does that play into playing quarterback, though? Like being angry every day. It doesn't feel like it means the same thing. Like if I'm a D tackle and you skip me, I'm going to come in there and try to trade paint. I'm going to try to ruin you every day. It just doesn't feel like it would work the same way for a quarterback.
Yeah, I guess I could speak from my own experience that it works very well, right? Because I was a player that was benched 2 different times at the University of Tennessee, and rightfully so, because I wasn't playing well, right? But I kept the dream alive of I wanted to continue to play in the NFL. And fortunately for me, that negative, angry wolf on my shoulder, well, he kept reminding me of all my shortcomings in my college career. Now, hey, Shedeur doesn't have many shortcomings in his college career. He accomplished a lot. He made a lot of big-time plays continuously for his football team, right? There's no doubt about that. There's a lot of evidence that backs that. And I believed Shedeur was a first-round pick. I really do. And because of the things that we can't actually put in a statistical category, right? And again, it goes back to just the attitude, the willingness to prove people wrong, right? Just the competitive aspect of playing the position of quarterback, right? That is so true. And he's a pocket passer, and we've seen, and this is why the whole debate of Jalen Milroe and Shedeur and all that kind of stuff I find interesting because it's like without a doubt you have to go with the pocket passer, the guy that's used to delivering the football on time and in rhythm.
Yep.
Now we're getting into this position where what team really does it fit for him, right, going forward? And now I kind of get into this point, are we going to see a team that actually is very secure in quarterback, right, that is willing to say, we're going to pick him up, we're going to make him look really good in the preseason, and then we're going to trade him off for some assets in the draft or another player. And you know what team kind of makes me think that sometimes? Is the San Francisco 49ers, because Kyle Shanahan has done it before.
Dude, you want a dramatic camp?
Well, he's done it before. Yeah. And he is not a guy that's afraid. I mean, hey, he drafts Robert Griffin III, and then he's like, hey, let's get Kirk Cousins too. Right. And he didn't think that Kirk Cousins was going to be his guy going forward, but he knew that there was an asset to having a really good quarterback that maybe another team would want in the future. So I'm curious now if maybe
he's got
Shedeur,
the vets to manage it on that team also.
right. So that's why I'm kind of curious. Are we going to see a random team now that is very secure at the quarterback position, right? Reach and get this guy and say, we're going to use him as a potential asset to help our team in future, right, services.
It's a really interesting
You know, I don't know. I'm just curious. That's kind of where my head goes now.
Yeah.
For Shedeur and his situation.
It feels weird because given like he's a good quarterback.
Yeah.
And given how, for lack of a better word, thirsty NFL teams have acted in the first few rounds at that position over the last, we'll call it 5 years.
Right.
It feels weird that he's still on the board.
Well,
It
the
does.
truth
It
is, when
just
you
feels
watch
weird.
his film, and like we did earlier, Ben and I, on the telestrator, there's so many plays where you're like, damn, that is just a good football play where he is tough as hell. There are a lot of other plays, though, too, where it's not the, his O-line stinks. It's no, like the O-line did his job. He just refused to pull the trigger.
Hold
And
the
he
football too
wanted
long.
to create instead of just playing in the structure of the offense.
Who said that?
And that's, I think, the biggest concern. Because in the NFL, if you don't get rid of the ball on time, you're going to be on your butt a lot. And not only that, too, but, like, now we're talking about, like, 6'4", 6'5", 270-pound defensive ends that consistently can get back there.
Yep.
So it's not like, let me read and see what it goes and how all that. You know, it's different that way. So I think Shedeur, with all the positives, a lot of the scouts really do see the negative aspects of his game transferring to the NFL level, right? And that inability to play within structure. That's why Jackson Dart went earlier. That's why Cam Ward went earlier.
Tyler Shuck as well.
And Tyler Shuck as well. All three of these players just displayed a little bit more consistency doing the simple, mundane things that we don't give enough credit for. Because recently, being labeled a game manager in the NFL has been a negative thing.
And I hate
Brock
that.
Purdy. But listen, game management is your number one responsibility as a quarterback.
Don't lose the game,
because
dickhead.
one quarter, from the first quarter to the second quarter, is completely different in the NFL. You can be kicking the crap out of one team in that first quarter. In the second quarter, you're like, is this the same team?
Right.
Because Spags has a whole different scheme now in the second quarter, and he is whooping us. And you know what? You're like, hey, man, just survive. Let's get to halftime. We'll take care of it.
Yeah.
We'll replenish. We'll get ready to go. And that's the difference, right, I think that a lot of people see when they evaluate him, is just that inability to play in structure consistently. But he's a playmaker, and I love the attitude. And I really do think that he will be able to adjust to the NFL style of play.
9 times out of 10, give me that pocket passer.
For sure.
Give me that guy that's going to stand in that pocket no matter, you know, if a blitz is coming, what the coverage is, that can dissect that whole nine. I played with a guy, Matt Ryan.
Yeah, listen to say.
We've got a tweet here. Shedeur Sanders was on stream and got a prank call from someone acting like they're a part of an NFL team and said, have to wait a little longer.
You can't be streaming if you're Shedeur. Get off the stream, brother. It's not worth it.
It's just
That
this
makes
is,
too much noise.
it's getting
People are silly.
it's getting ugly. It's getting a little weird.
Kick y'all out.
Ignorant.
Yeah.
doing
I do have
something
a
right
question for you guys about something in terms of his attributes. You hear people say, like, pretty adamantly, like, he's not athletic. I feel like that's been a little, like, overstated.
Yeah.
Is that...
Well, I think what they're saying is like the wow factor,
What y'all
right?
think?
When you
What-
look at Cam
tell me what
Ward,
y'all
number one,
think,
it's the
what y'all
arm
think
strength,
that,
the ability to extend plays.
Sure.
You look at Jackson Dart, be a part
Shut
of
up,
the run
boo-boo.
game, that whole nine. I think that's what didn't
Not
allow
here
him
outside,
to
tell
go
me
in the
shit.
first round.
Yeah.
Like, you can talk about all the other nonsense, but I think that's one of the things that really held him back from going in the first round.
Even with the Jackson Dart comparison that you're making, there's a lot of plays, too, where you see Jackson Dart going through his progression and then making runs, right, for good, solid runs in normal down and distance where he's going through the interior part of the defensive line. You know, and these are also another small things that you see Patrick Mahomes do in consistent situations where it's covered up. He sees the lane. He fills it. He takes advantage of those 6 or 7 yards and just keeps chugging along. Again, managing the game and the situation.
Dart is a decisive runner.
That's right.
He
Yeah,
makes
right.
that
Great
decision in the
point.
pocket quickly,
point.
and he goes. There's no east-west, move around, jump stop. He goes. And it's like you guys said with game manager, it's not a part of my vocabulary anymore. I use the word operator of the offense or phrase, I guess.
Right.
The quarterback's job is to operate the offense. And if that means you score 13 points and win or 33 points and win, if you operate the offense correctly and your offense does enough to win the football game, that's the success.
Drop a comment, man. Let me know why.
The whole game manager thing,
I think Shedeur Sanders.
it's not even a part of how I discuss football.
And he was Jacksonville was good.
It's a compliment.
Absolutely.
It's the greatest
It's all
compliment you
work
can
ethic.
ever
When
receive
Jacksonville,
as a
it's all work.
quarterback that you're a game manager.
If you got
gotta
to the
figure
line of
this shit out,
scrimmage
though.
and got us
Tom
into
Brady
the
is a game
Gotta
manager.
figure it out.
if you got us to the correct run 20 out of 21 times and we ran for 180 yards,
Right.
and that gave us
We gotta figure
32
it out.
minutes of possession, and we won that game 14-10, you more than did your job. You
He drove
excelled
to
at your
fucking
job.
Jacksonville?
So that's why the whole
was
game
worth it.
manager thing is not a real thing for me.
'Cause-
It's
'cause
operator of the
Tyler-
offense. And
Lawrence-
whatever is
Trevor
called
Lawrence is
upon
not a
by what the
motherfucking
defense gives you
guarantee
that day is what you do to operate your offense successfully.
And that's why New England had so much
Trevor
success.
Lawrence is
You will
not-
see Tom Brady one week throw for
He
300
got
yards, and
potential
then
to
the
be
following
great,
week
but
throw
he's
for
definitely-
125.
It's why John Summerall is my favorite coach in college football right now.
Yes.
They'll throw for 400 yards one week and they'll run for 220 the next week.
Yeah.
And I'll say, Coach, how do you just? He said, we do what it takes to win the game.
Right.
That's it. There's no questions. There's no satisfying a receiver or a running back or a quarterback or a defensive end. We do what it takes to win the game. And again, that's operating your offense. That's right. What it takes to go win the football game.
And it's also worth noting, it's not just Shedeur that's not getting picked here. Like, this is the fewest quarterbacks we've had taken in 3 years, basically.
Yep,
And
right.
it's been 51 picks now
Yeah,
since we've had a
but y'all
quarterback taken.
saying
And there's
that,
not a
but
lot
y'all
of
like,
spots
y'all really
open,
not really
right, for
giving a
young
fuck,
quarterbacks
though,
on
like-
rosters right now. Let's just face it. There's not a lot of teams that are just oozing for that franchise quarterback. And now,
You know what?
it's also like, I kind of just curious your thoughts about it too. Shedeur has an impact, and I actually talked to Harry about this earlier today. He has a little bit of a, totally different football players on the field, but same impact as far as media and coverage goes. It's very similar to Tim Tebow.
Yeah,
Very
it's like a
similar.
sensation, right?
Right, and
Oh,
sometimes
my
I think
God.
for certain franchises, like we don't
Disrespect.
care how good he is, we don't want
Similar
that
to
in our
Tim
building.
Tebow,
And that's
you
the
know,
tricky
and
thing
that's-
about
yeah.
these
That-
picks,
the
right? Is
worst-
when it was,
maybe
I'll take
worse
Shedeur
than
at
Tim
9 on the
Tebow, I'll
Saints.
be
It's like,
honest,
all right,
Shaq.
I love the talent
But
so
in a
much, I'm
good
willing
way,
to go
though.
with the whole,
Like,
rigmarole, the whole
New
circus
York,
of like
right.
QB1. The Rams
Jets
picking here at
tripping.
90. You want to spend
Motherfucking-
the
that don't
90th
even make
overall pick on a
sense.
circus, right? Like
Right.
when
you
it's
have a
tripping, Jets
MVP
tripping,
quality quarterback
Pittsburgh
already,
tripping.
Yeah.
still,
Right, so when it's we like the guy so
Seattle's
much to take him
tripping.
at 9, it's okay. We're more willing to take some of the off the field, kind of craziness and hoopla. The later you go in the draft, the more it's like, we don't necessarily
What-
want to be taking,
What
that sort of a
off the field
visibility
stuff
on a
did
third
Shedeur
round pick.
Sanders- what
By the
off the
same
field
token, the other players on board aren't as
Somebody,
good as they were picking,
inform me,
right?
you
So
don't
where
have
did
no
you have
off the
Shedeur
field
graded
issues,
out? Is he
yeah?
completely off your board? Red flag, we do not want this player,
Right.
or was he a little bit knocked
You
down
don't
your
have
board?
off the
Yellow
field
flag,
issues.
orange flag, as some teams say, and you're willing to go snag him.
and this is where what we do in the media world is crazy, right?
They got a lot of flags,
but
man.
it's
I was
also
reading the
it's-
tweet.
Yeah,
I
a
think
great
it's a
tweet here
very
by
fair
Tom
compliment
Cornelli.
there.
Jalen Milroe, Shedeur Sanders a bottle of something, because I'm not sure I've heard Milroe's name mentioned once as sliding down the
we did
board.
a great Milroe conversation.
And he was in
Tom.
the green room last night.
Yeah, that is true. He's having himself a Malik Willis, Matt Corral green room sort
Yeah,
of time.
but let's lay this out though, because and again we talked about this earlier. Like,
Jalen Milroe
what
is
is
for
what
Jalen
is the
Milroe
baggage?
not to be touched.
Because to me,
for
who?
Alabama
Shedeur?
for Shedeur, I
quarterback,
think it's
successful one?
I think it's mostly his dad.
and do it.
I think that's how NFL teams.
But I
are
don't
doing
view
it,
that as
'cause I
baggage,
just
though.
I don't view him like people try to make him out to be.
He's got a football team to coach. He's not going to
does-
be in training camp.
And I
He's
agree
not
with
the
that.
part that
But
people
like
don't
people,
understand.
like to me, is like he's not doing the watch thing anymore. Like he's not super loud. He's confident, but he's not that cocky.
I just think that people view it as extra. And as we all just discussed, the later you get in the draft, how much extra do you want to invite?
Right.
Sure.
You're finding guys now that are going to be fighting for the 50th, the 52nd, the 53rd spot on your roster, or you're going to send them to practice squad for 7 of the however many weeks of the season, hoping they can potentially help you in training camp, maybe make your team the next year. Do you want a film crew walking around your facility with that?
Yeah.
Do you want to have to do extra interviews? And do you want a guy answering questions with extra interviews that's not going to be taking snaps in an actual game?
Right.
There,
And let's say
I think, like Ben said, there are certain franchises that just
Oh, for sure.
no.
Yeah.
And let's say Milroe's the
They're
pick here at
saying
90 for the
anything. He's
Rams.
better
Matthew
than
Stafford has 2
current
bad
NFL
games.
quarterbacks
Nobody's
right
going to
now.
ask Sean McVay post-game presser.
Jack-
You
better
think
than
about
current
Jalen
NFL
Milroe maybe
quarterbacks
stepping
right
in.
now, Jack.
If it's Shedeur Sanders that's the pick here at 90, Stafford has 2 bad games, I'm not sure someone in the presser is going to be asking it, but I guarantee you the buzz is going to be a lot more likely just because
He's
of the
better
names.
than
But we
Yeah,
also did
yeah,
watch
yeah.
Jalen Milroe play last year.
Yeah.
And we'll fall for the trap, and we'll talk about it on television for an hour,
1,000%.
right? And have this debate, And that's and that's how it goes, right? And
Yeah, that's
and
a trap I don't want to fall
Hey,
for.
ask Sarkisian how it was making a national championship run this year, where everyone was
With
talking
Arch.
about his backup quarterback.
Right, yeah.
When Quinn Ewers was playing pretty damn good football and clutch football against Arizona State, but it was still about like, well, you think you should get Arch in there a little bit more, you know? So this is unfortunately the baggage that comes with the quarterback position sometimes, especially in the draft. But it doesn't necessarily mean anything for him as a player. It doesn't matter if he's Mr. Irrelevant, if he's a third rounder, he's a fourth rounder. If he's got the ability, if he's put in a good environment, if he has good coaching staff, and he is willing to do the work to be the player that we have seen him be at the college level, hey, the sky's still the limit for him, right?
What do you mean willing?
I think we all
Only
agree
work.
that Shedeur
I mean,
Sanders
didn't
can
work,
be a good
Zach.
NFL quarterback.
Right.
We haven't
This
spent
nigga
time talking about
partying and all that
the
goofy
football or maybe the extra
Nigga
part
only
of
put in
Jalen
work.
Milroe and why we're in the spot with
in a
him right
real
now.
way.
Yeah.
Why are we here with Jalen
Definition of-
Milroe right now?
He's
I think, you know,
you don't hear no
I watched all of
TikTok
Jalen Milroe's
goofy,
snaps
all
in
that funny
2024.
shit.
If you blindfolded me and you put a pass attempt in front of me, I wouldn't
Shut
be able
up.
to tell you if it was going to be a good one or a bad one. Like the inconsistency, right, was really, really, really remarkable. There are a few throws. I was watching that Oklahoma game you brought
Yeah,
up.
that'd be
Oklahoma,
nervous.
he threw a seam, man, right in front of Billy Bowman. Perfect timing,
You
good
better get
location, gets
nervous.
you up out of your chair. Let's do that some more. And then it's the next 9 or 10 plays, right? He's not
It's
seeing
insane,
it
yo.
fast. He's got one pitch right now. He's got one speed in terms of the ball. Everything's 100 miles per hour, right? A lot of the Colin Kaepernick issues when he was a young player was I only have one pitch in my arm. I don't know how to throw with touch. I don't know how to make it easy on my receiver. Harry Douglas hated those fast
You
ones
better
receiver.
believe it.
Hurts your hands, right?
And he changes his delivery when he's attempting to change speeds as well.
Check.
Mechanically,
Catch
he's
it
a
up.
very
that can alter what you
yeah.
do.
Mechanically, he's an upright quarterback. He doesn't have a good
That's
arm
like
slot. Right?
alcoholic
He'll
type
drop
shit.
it. He'll pick it back up. There are high levels of inconsistency in everything he does, from field
alcoholic
reading to
type
throwing the
shit,
football.
Jack.
Right.
Then he
can't
scrambles
lie.
against LSU, and you're like,
Yeah.
wow, I know we should
I
be
don't
able to
see
make
the other
something out of
problems
it.
at all.
Yeah. Let's be very clear. He will be the best rushing quarterback, ball in hand rushing quarterback to enter the league since Lamar. He is better than Fields was. He's better than Kyler was. He's better than Richardson was. Once he tucks and goes, oh my,
That's a
golly
crazy,
darn goodness.
like,
yeah.
look better than Lamar?
No,
No,
I'm
no,
saying
no,
since Lamar.
Oh,
Yeah,
since
yeah.
okay, I was
Yeah,
gonna say.
and it's
like,
fair. We
see,
we
my
had
brain
them.
hurts
Yeah.
a little bit there.
We had
That's
them.
messed up.
We had Alabama the year before he took over as a starter, and Coach Saban told us at practice
Nothing
on
else fucking
Fridays. He's
scenario
the
like that.
fastest player on our football team.
Right.
I'll believe
You
it.
hear that
The
at
quarterback in this
Alabama?
draft,
Yeah.
besides
You're
Cam Ward,
thinking-
is even on
Damn.
Shedeur
I'm
Sanders'
thinking
level.
Jameson Williams was on that team at the same time,
That's
and
100.
he was. I mean, strength coach told me David Ballou that he's hit almost 23 multiple times on the GPS. You see him, and he looks like an SEC safety.
Yes.
Like he is put together like a safety. Like he doesn't look like a quarterback. He doesn't move like a
at all.
quarterback. And then I think even outside of some of the fundamental things from throwing the football, there are some behavioral decision-making things that I think are also playing into this decision as well.
You want to go check out some film with Milroe?
Yeah,
Kinda
yeah, I
talk
was
through
looking
it?
at
I'm
Milroe.
gonna get
Yeah.
some of these Oreos while
And,
you're over there.
you know, Cole, to go off of what you were saying too, which I think is a great point,
Take
and
your time,
Dan
by
as
the
well,
way.
what you were saying.
Sure, I'll get a haircut.
You know, why do we see the one pitch always? And
So
I
you
think
about
the
your
one
haircut?
pitch is because, well, I'm unsure. And then
I'm
when
sure
I
right
am
now,
sure,
too,
I got to throw
really
the
good.
fastball
Yeah.
to make up for that lost time in the decision-making process.
100% agree.
100%, right? Like, it's just
I'm
something that's
unsure
very
right
obvious.
now.
But this is something that, to me, like, this is where he can excel at the
Fuck your
NFL
haircut,
level
nigga.
sooner rather than later. Now, the problem is that you can't rely on plays like this all the time in the NFL for multiple
I'll
reasons.
give you a drunk
But
haircut anyway.
longer developing plays
What?
that are away
I'll give
from
you-
the
I'll
line
give
of
you a
scrimmage, that are
haircut.
towards the sideline,
What?
very easy for young quarterbacks to see those a little
I'll
bit better
give you a
than
drunk
over the middle,
haircut, nigga.
because you can see a little bit easier as far as your depth perception. You're not looking over the big guys in the middle. You don't have a lot of linebackers. You're not worried about zone droppers and all
I'm in the
that.
comfort of my own
So
home. I can't
this
drink.
is the biggest
So,
thing right
okay,
here
I'm
is that
31.
when he drops back in this 3-by-1 formation, we're basically getting a simple concept,
2-6.
right, where it's just like a
2-6 what?
clear out post and then a corner route underneath,
that's a
and then
half
some
the
sort of
bottom.
guy that's hanging out as your 3-level vertical. So it's a top-down read, a Mardi Gras
No,
read, as
Friday,
they say in
that's
some
how
NFL locker rooms, right?
man.
Top down, right? Post
Chilling.
to the
I'm
flag,
just
to
chilling.
the check down underneath.
right now.
And when you create the separation for him, right? Easy lane for him to see through the sideline.
I drink like once
Easy
a week,
lane for him
nigga.
to load up,
I'm gonna
stay
drink
on
like
that
that.
back foot, and drive the football powerfully. And this is where you see consistently on film, he loves these type of throws.
That's
I think
insane,
the Wisconsin
Yo,
game,
the Shedeur
right?
Sanders still ain't
Wisconsin
drafted.
game is one of his best games that he has because it's long developing plays, play action plays down the field.
The
He can
third
see it
round
and then
right
just
now.
absolutely throw the cannon down the field.
Damn,
right?
and what's the name?
Now,
Didn't
this
even
is the
pick-
plays
this shit is
that really
smart.
gets you
This shit's
excited if you're an
crazy.
offensive coordinator that's trying to utilize what? His running ability, right? So we got an unbalanced line here right? We're going to have that running back be the lead guy in here, get that extra blocker, and we're going to take advantage of a team that reset their defensive line to the field here because we went unbalanced. And now, Jalen, just follow the running back, and we'll do the rest with your speed. We already have leverage with
He's
the
off
way
the
that
board. He's off the board
He's
right
off
now.
the board?
He's off the board right now.
Where's he going, baby?
Off the board.
Seattle.
Damn. Now
Jalen
that's
Milroe
strong
wants
hands
to
are
Seattle.
called, right?
That's
Seattle.
super fun.
Seattle
Jalen Milroe
Seahawks.
before
The
this
most
nigga.
different
Okay.
quarterback to Sam
Honestly,
Darnold to ever exist.
if all the
Sam
other-
Darnold, touch throws,
them
operating
other
from the
wild-
pocket,
shit,
right?
dude.
Doesn't want to
Hey,
move at
hold on.
all. Jalen Milroe, I throw
There's
one
this
speed,
other
I want to
wild
get out.
You know
ass,
what, though?
like,
I like
quarterbacks
that, though, too,
darting
because in a
all
lot of
20
cases,
in
you
the
don't want your
Louisville nigga.
backup to be exactly
Didn't
like
go
the
first,
starter
and
because
Jalen
all you're
went
going to do
for
is
him
be
because
pissed
of the
off when he
fit.
doesn't run the offense exactly
So
like the
Seattle,
starter.
how-
Russell
so what
Wilson
you
was
just
not like
drafted?
Matt Flynn,
Honestly.
right? They were two
So-
very different quarterbacks.
But for
That's
him to
third
go
round
to-
once again.
that's
Russ was what? Russ was
insane.
70-something,
After
and Milrow's
the
here at
nigga.
81. It's like super close to 2 picks. This is something.
Yeah, it is. And
Jalen
now
Milroe
you
winning
can
out
say,
them
all
quarterback,
right, hey,
like-
Sam, do your thing. All right,
They really never
Jalen,
had
go on
success
in there.
in the
They'll do short
NFL,
yardage
but
stuff with Jalen for
There's
sure.
I think
Yeah.
no
he's
doubt
good.
about it.
Clayton Kubiak had Taysom Hill
Still
last year,
no
right?
Yeah.
You know, 4th and 1, they'd walk out, Taysom in the gun,
I'm
wide
not-
wing, back
Right.
up there, and they just run quarterback power, baby. You have it in Jalen Milroe. A player can do exactly that.
For sure. And I love the fact, too, like, you think Seattle's going to like this guy running down the field for them? I think so. I think that fan base is really going to get excited because
fair.
this
You
is why, right? Lead blocker again, too, with the running back. And then you just see the straight speed down the field, outrunning the secondary again, like a Lamar Jackson. It's a simple play design, but he still has the ability to be dynamic as a passer, so you do have to respect that when he comes into the football game. So there are going to be multiple advantages, I think, offensively, where they can doctor it up for him to be successful
Yeah,
as
I'm
a
I'm
safe,
thinking right
careful,
now.
explosive pass thrower when he does throw. But really, it's let's earn it right now on the ground with his legs, with his versatility as a runner,
this is
and really
fierce.
create some opportunistic advantages for us blocking-wise with light boxes, right?
Yeah.
And especially if you're playing a team like a McDermott who likes nickel
Right,
and all
chat.
that. You think Jalen Milroe is going to be okay with a lead blocker there, an extra guy?
so hard to
yeah,
tackle, dude.
get a head start against
Yep.
the secondary there. So that's why Jalen Milroe is a really exciting prospect, but a lot of growth as far as just the pure drop-back passer for him going forward, without a doubt.
And now we're running out of places here, guys, for
No, they're in the
Shedeur
third
Sanders to
round.
land because he is not going to New Orleans. Cleveland is picking at 94, and then we've got Las Vegas at 98 and 99. And then after that, we've got the 49ers,
All right.
Falcons, and Texans who will not be taking
It says
Shedeur
Shedeur Sanders,
I think I can say
UFL
pretty
in the chat.
confidently. So this could be something, I
Disrespect
think we all
is
thought it was realistic. You know, at
insane.
third round today, like, I
Chat, the
don't know that I
disrespect
saw
is
four.
insane. I see
Maybe?
Shedeur UFL.
Don't even know about
in the
that now.
chat.
Yeah, I mean, it's tough.
You'll
It
go
is.
for
It's
10,000
the NFL,
yards.
man. Like it's unforgiving in that way. I remember very vividly my brother being a potential first rounder and then dropping in the third, and it looked like we felt like someone like ripped our hearts out of our souls right that day because of that. But at the same time, it's like he was a third round draft pick to Tampa Bay Bucks. Like life is good, man. Like you're continuing the dream of playing.
That's right.
Right? And just because it didn't
Facts.
happen
That
exactly the
shit
way
get
you
dark
wanted
when
to,
I'm playing
it doesn't mean a
football,
damn thing.
I got
It
niggas
doesn't,
begging me
because
to
you
play
know at
right
the end of the
now
day, just hey,
some
play well between the
Little
lines,
league football,
respect
like
your teammates, and be a great person
what the
in
fuck
that
that shit
locker room,
called?
and things will work
87
themselves out on
NFL,
the field throughout time.
semi-pro.
That's what it's all about.
Niggas
Taking
is,
advantage
like,
of the
begging me to
opportunity
play.
when
I'm
it's
like,
presented to you.
I'm an
Listen, it's a
NFL
luxury
nigga.
to be able to be
I
drafted,
ain't making
period.
though.
Right.
But I ain't
When
wasting
you
my
get into
time.
that locker room, number one, the
Body
first
banged up
thing
already,
that
sores.
your teammates are going to look at when it comes
About to
even the
work out
quarterback
and shit.
position, and these are conversations I had with Matt Ryan.
Leg day tomorrow,
Okay,
leg
how
day,
much
and
does
we
he
dropping
love
it,
the game? How much does he
leg day
love his
vlog tomorrow.
teammates? How can
Y'all
he take
tap
us to
into
the
the
next
stream and check
level?
that like
What
button,
is he going to
comment,
do to
subscribe,
be
tell
able
them
to take
to
us
so.
to that next level as well? So
Why y'all
you
turn
have
that
to
TV
figure
up?
out guys in your locker room as well. Who else is going to be in the
Nah,
quarterback
somebody
room? But
typed it
for
up.
Shedeur
I can
Sanders,
hear the difference. Come on
and
now,
there's
shoot it.
no doubt in my mind that he's going to be successful as an NFL quarterback. We just got to figure out where's he going to go.
And you saw one of the quarterbacks taken there in the third round.
That's
We
why
had
they should subscribe to
a
the
list on the
channel,
full
man.
screen. Russell Wilson was
Yeah, they
one
talking
taken
about
by the
Shedeur
Seahawks in
UFL.
2012.
Nah,
Wilson
I'm
was
bringing-
75.
Shedeur Sanders
and
will
Milroe
start-
goes at
yo,
91. So
Shedeur Sanders don't get
So
drafted.
there's
They
your list.
probably
Yeah.
just
Joe
make their
Montana's
own
on there. Dan
league, bro.
Fouts, Fran Tarkenton. It's not a bad
That's how
list.
they come to
Not
like
a
that.
bad list at all
No.
right there. Fran, though, man,
Huh?
I know a lot of fans at home might be a little too young for Fran Tarkenton.
I remember watching Frank.
Nah, it's good like that, but they had
He was
a
Milroe before Milroe. running around.
Exactly my point. Cole.
Like, my mic-
He was way ahead of his time as far as his skill set
Yo,
and
that's
the way that he
insane.
played the game.
These niggas
and
gonna
had a
start
very
their
similar
own
attitude
league
and
chat. Mark
approach,
my
right,
words.
that Jalen Milroe
Shedeur
has right
Sanders
that way.
don't
So
get drafted.
very excited. I
These
also
niggas gonna
like
start their
as I look at this,
Sanders,
Josiah
that's
Stewart, the Michigan edge
SFL
player, going
Sanders
to the
football
LA
league.
Rams.
I
And
love
niggas is
I
gonna
like
come.
that pick a lot too, right? Just because
Niggas
of what
gonna
the
play
LA
it.
Rams
They gonna
already
come- they
have,
gonna be
right,
kinda like
in their
the
defensive line. So
Deion
just
Sanders
kind of
gonna
adding
come like
another
the Ball
athletic
Brothers,
free
giving
player on the
niggas
edge
$1
for
million
them.
They picked
contracts.
him right in the draft last
How
year.
much?
Yeah, they had
Yo,
three
who's
edge
doing
rushers
that?
this year get over 100 total snaps, right?
Yeah.
It was Jared Verse, Stevens Rookie of the Year. It was Byron Young, and then it was Michael Hoke, who left
You know how
and
many
went to
niggas?
Buffalo,
You know
right?
how
So
many
they had
niggas?
700 or so snaps.
They're
to
giving
fill out.
niggas
Josiah Stewart's gonna be an
$500,000
important player for them.
contracts.
Milroe for
They're
the
gonna get
Seahawks.
media. They're gonna get media deals. They're gonna get
The more I
deals.
think
They're
about
gonna
this,
make
the more I
bread.
like it. Contract-wise,
Yo,
Sam
what's good?
Darnold
What's good?
got
What's good?
something
Remember
rare
me?
from Seattle. He got
Shedeur
guaranteed money in his
Sanders.
second year. Seattle
He said,
prefers
good,
really not to give him
what?
a guaranteed money past the
What's
first year,
good?
but they gave it to him. So in year one, Sam Darnold's contract-wise, he's staying there. You know, he's going to be the starter in camp, so on and so forth. Year two,
What's
Sam
good,
Darnold
though,
hits the
about
cap
Shedeur
about
Sanders
$34 million.
not getting drafted.
$24
He's the
million dead if you
second
cut him
best,
straight. You're
if
probably
not
not going to
the
do that.
best
It's not too
quarterback.
expensive. But
Y'all
fiscally,
forget
your
the nigga-
commitment
he had
to
over
Sam
100
Darnold as, hey,
touchdown passes,
you are the future. We're building
27
around you.
picks.
That ends after
The
2025.
nigga from Louisville
Contract
got 50
size-wise,
touchdown
it is
passes,
1 year, and then
23
after that,
picks.
there's some flexibility. We can
Don't
post
make
you
no
in first
fucking
year. Like
sense.
we can trade you, right? We have structured the contract such that we can move that a little bit. And so
Chat, let's
again,
hit the
I don't think this is
subscribe
a
button, man.
camp battle.
Can't trust
but
Sanders, as
Sam
you can
Darnold
tell.
signed a
What
3-year,
do you mean,
$100
can't trust
million
him doing
contract
what?
with the Seahawks.
Can't trust him
Structure-wise,
doing
that's
what,
more
gang?
1.5,
Buckle
1.75 years
Hit the
in
like
terms of the
button.
commitment.
Hit the
So
subscribe
yeah,
button.
you do want to
What you
have
can't trust
a
him
young
doing?
quarterback waiting in the wings to
He
see,
can
hey,
throw.
if he really impresses in camp,
Got a little
impresses in preseason,
scramblability.
Sam goes down, he plays
got
well for
ability
4
to
games.
create the
That's how it
play.
was with Wentz
He
and Hurts
can
and the
make
Eagles,
all
right?
the
Wentz got
time
hurt,
in
Hurts
NFL
goes out there.
throws.
Yeah.
We got something here with this runner, and then you're able to transition your team
So
forward.
You mentioned
like,
Jalen
Browns,
Hurts.
they
There were
could've-
some people that thought
you go to the
Jalen
Browns
Hurts would
behind
take on a little bit of
Washington,
the
that's
Taysom Hill
fire.
role
Mm-hmm.
when he
I'm probably
came
going
in.
to Cle- he go to
How
Cleveland, I'm going to
possible is
Cleveland.
that for Milroe in Seattle?
So I think Clint
Go to
Kubiak,
Cleveland or
who's the
Miami,
OC now
I'm
in
out.
Seattle and was previously in New Orleans,
I'm going to
is well
Cleveland,
equipped
let's
to
do
get
it.
that done because of his experience
I'm
doing that with
entourage,
Taysom Hill.
nigga.
And when we say the Taysom Hill role, Hill
The
certainly
hell?
lined up at tight
Why-
end and
why-
ran
why you
routes.
can't
We're
trust
thinking
him?
more
He
so
had
when he
over
lined up
100
at quarterback,
touchdown
sometimes
passes
at running
in his
back, but
career.
mostly at quarterback and
20
short yardage situations, goal
27
line
picks.
situations,
Bro from
and ran the
Louisville
football.
had
Very
50
similar runners,
7
Taysom Hill and
touchdown
Jalen
passes.
Milroe.
20
Now,
people.
Hurts speaks about the challenges
Come on, bro.
of trying to do that role a little bit
Double
under the Doug Peterson
of what
Eagles.
he has.
One of the big troubles was it's just hard to get your snap count
So I like
ready
the- I like-
and remember what you're
Bro,
looking
I'll be
at. And
honest.
he would talk about how Jason Kelsey
I
snapped
like
the
the
ball on him
Browns
too
trying
fast
to
and he
go
would
to the
drop it.
Jags,
See, he
Browns,
wasn't in the
or
flow of the game yet. And so
the Pittsburgh
people
Steelers.
too
But
frequently, Lamar with Joe Flacco, they did this, right? Too frequently say with the mobile quarterback,
late,
oh,
it's
well, he'll
just
just go
like
out there and he'll have a package.
a smack in
It's
the
hard to
face
be
for having
sideline,
confidence,
sideline,
and
sideline,
it's
sideline. Game,
confidence
taking
that
a snap, making
you
calls, sideline,
deserve
sideline.
that
It's
for
hard
a
to turn that
collegiate
on and
career,
turn that
you
back off like
For
that.
sure.
So
That's
his
not a problem you
family,
want to
like
have with
his
Jalen
or
Milroe
his
going into
family,
the
his
NFL
brother
right now.
definitely ain't getting
so that
drafted.
you can have a package for it. It just takes a little more
Yeah, yeah.
finagling than I think folks
He's a
realize.
Heisman
And
type
so,
of
do we
candidate.
like the plan of action here by the Seahawks? You mentioned obviously the Darnold deal is more,
Look,
year and a half
with the
type
Texas
of
Tech
situation.
back in the day, Texas
I like
Tech
again,
line,
and this is
he wins
sort
the
of where
Heisman.
I'm landing with the Steelers, and why I'm like, hey, I would like to see you guys take a quarterback, is to have that backup plan because they are building around and trying to build something. But it feels like with Darnold, at least, this is not nearly as a perfect, for lack of a better word, situation as Minnesota was for him last year.
I love it. It's pick 92.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a great pick.
That's where I think the what if is absolutely worth the risk. What if this guy turns into your starting quarterback? I mean,
Like
we've
we were
mentioned
talking about
Jalen
with the
Hurts. We
Steelers.
mentioned other guys.
Yeah, it's such a low
Yeah.
risk investment that upside, I got a starting quarterback, incredible.
Yeah.
Downside, I wasted pick 92.
Right.
And you get extra maybe on top of that. If he doesn't turn into your starting quarterback, you get somebody that can help you in short yardage.
Yeah.
What about what Matt brought up earlier? Milroe goes out there, rips up in the preseason, somebody's
he's
quarterback gets
outside.
hurt, and they say, we got to have
Right.
that guy.
No
and all
doubt.
of a sudden, you pick up a second-round pick. There's your
Hey, Chad,
value
hold
in
on, Chad,
return.
hold on, Chad, I gotta make
Yeah,
this.
I like the move. And hey, I tell you what, there has been one player
You
in
make
football
this
history
play
that has made
real
me
quick.
happily stand out in the rain, and it's Jalen Milroe. That LSU
game's
game,
that?
bro.
Yeah.
I've never seen so much rain in my life,
Oh, yeah?
and I did not move from that sideline. I'd never been, that was the game they brought out the Tiger, which that's a whole nother thing. But
2017 Western Michigan against against Buffalo. It was snowing, and Corey Davis came out
There
and
you go.
Flex Broncos team.
Corey Davis.
Yes.
Came out with no sleeves on. This was the first sporting event I took my then girlfriend to become fiance, to become wife, to become mother of my children to. I said, we're going to the game.
Wow.
And it snowed the whole goddamn time, and she has not been to a game since.
Yeah.
Shows them right. Cleveland Browns pick
That's
is
love.
in,
Yeah.
and it is Dylan Gabriel.
Baby doll.
Get
I like
Coach Coach Lanning back on the
It
phone.
took
Let's
like him a
go.
lot.
I love. Yeah, Dylan Gabriel.
What
My
the
first
fuck is
starting
quarterback
was
Dylan
UCF
Whoa.
against
What
Boise State. Dylan Gabriel was quarterback. This is a guy that has played in every type of level of football, college football. He's won a Red River rivalry. He helped Oregon win the Big Ten in their first year in the conference. An incredible leader, as Dan Lanning told us about it.
Can't
Sims,
lie
what do you
about
like here
that.
about this quarterback?
For a guy who's 5'11", he has an absolute rocket for an arm, and a rocket for an arm that really honestly rivals Jalen Milroe
stop the bullshit.
in a sense. And I'm just telling you, it's surprising. A lot of people, when they meet him in person, they see him, the first thing that they say is like, dude's got a really strong arm, a rotational thrower, right, that we really love. His ability to be successful at multiple destinations, and not only be successful, but be the guy that the whole franchise is relying on. So he is a guy that Dan Lanning's story is the best, right? The guy showed up on campus, had a minivan, and was going around picking up his teammates to go to practice and hang out at the field and throw and all that. Like, that to me just screams like, yeah, he's a quarterback, right? This is what he does.
Leader vibes.
The amount of experience and
I'll
snaps
be
that he's
honest, I
had in
can't lie.
college, that is really important,
going
I
that
think, for the
late?
transition to the NFL. That's my one
He's
concern,
going
maybe
nuts. I
also,
can't-
too,
I
for
don't
Jalen
know.
Milroe.
He's
Not
throwing
enough
fucking
snaps
dots,
under
but
center
him
and
going
really
late is
going through
sick.
the finite things of being a quarterback. But Dylan Gabriel absolutely has a plethora of snaps to go along with a guy like Bo Nix, right? The guy who was there ahead of him a year ago, right? Just those amount of snaps going to the line of scrimmage, seeing what the defense is doing, making the proper decision over and over, that stuff equates really
Obviously,
well to
a
the NFL
shocking
level.
pick here, as you see, Twitter is shocked that Dylan Gabriel has gone over Shedeur Sanders. I would tell you this: I know there are concerns about his size. That is one of the toughest players, at least doing my sideline duties. That's one of the toughest players I've ever watched.
He's tough in the pocket. He manipulates the pocket very well. Understands how to move and get space. The stature is not ideal,
Right.
but he understands how to move and find and create space to be able to complete the football. And he's got better wheels than people give him credit
That's
for.
right.
He can
Yeah,
move.
for sure.
When he tucks the ball and runs, he can go. Ben, I'm interested from you though. What's the mindset of the Browns? Pickett, Flacco, Watson, and now you had 3-4 guys coming in that were going to compete and play right now. Mason Graham is going to contribute today.
Yeah.
Schweisinger probably today. Quinchon today. Fannin, I would think today. What is the plan, the mindset around bringing in Dylan Gabriel?
I'm flabbergasted.
I'm glad you are too, because I didn't have any idea either.
Developmental quarterback. We talked about these low-risk investments in the 90s. The Browns are clearly preparing for 2026. They're going to shed a bunch of money on the Deshaun Watson deal. They're going to try to get a lot younger, get future picks as they got from the Jaguars because of the trade. They're clearly planning forward, but that doesn't preclude you from taking a quarterback now, throw a flyer on a guy, see if he's good for you in 25. If he has to start instead of Pickett, has to start instead of Flacco. That it is the third round and Dylan Gabriel has gone is astonishing to me. And even from like a how do you feel about the player evaluation perspective, nobody from a draft prognostication perspective, nobody that I saw was putting Dylan Gabriel as a potential day 2 target. Certainly not above a Shedeur Sanders, above a Kyle McCord, above a Will Howard, above a Riley Leonard. Like 5'11", 200 pounds. He's got
Definitely above Riley Leonard. For the facts, too, of just like drop back and throw it.
I'll give you Riley Leonard.
The other two, I get it.
Yeah. It's 5'11", and it's not having the movement skills of a Kyler Murray, right? It's not having the like you said, he's got velocity on his arm, but you'll see throws dying to the sideline. It's not an arm talent that leaps out. It's like, prime in the NFL.
Right.
There's a physical ceiling here that is prescribed for a guy his size. Like there's a reason why these players who are very successful at the college level get to the NFL, and it's just all the bodies are bigger, everything's a little faster, the windows are a little smaller. It's just so hard to maintain. So I did not for a minute in preparing for this show think to myself, well, what if Dylan Gabriel goes?
Well, this is why we're the experts, right? Is because we don't really know a damn thing until it happens. And the other thing, too, is to go off to the size thing. The one great example I think of that, the first time they play Ohio State, you don't notice it. The second time they play Ohio State, where it does feel like an NFL football game.
Balls batted down left and right.
You did notice that, yes, the lack of size and the ability to kind of adjust to a collapsed pocket was very difficult for him.
Cole brought up pocket movement. A big part of that is, and this is a Kyler thing and a Bryce Young thing, he can't stand tall in the pocket.
Yeah,
He
have to.
Exactly. He
space.
has to be bouncing around. They had in Cleveland Dorian Thompson-Robinson, who was another sub-6 foot quarterback, came out of UCLA. So they're comfortable with the prototype. They just traded him away to the Philadelphia Eagles, right? And so they're clearly willing to take
Would
the guy
you
again.
say that he's a better just thrower, though, and passer than Dorian Thompson-Robinson?
Oh, certainly,
No
certainly.
doubt.
I'm just talking about from teams being willing to take a sub-6 foot quarterback. It's a short list. Browns are clearly one such team.
I think
Dorian
Go
Thompson-Robinson a better
ahead.
blocker though.
Yeah.
And they would run the zone read, and he would like sprint out in front of his backs
Cole,
and actually
come
throw
on, man.
blocks.
Hey,
I
Steve,
give him credit. I'm just giving him credit. Yeah.
Before we get to the home cooking here, and the boys from the A-Town took Xavier Watts. I want your take on Dylan Gabriel though, because again, you've seen him multiple times in person as well.
Well, just quick and efficient. Gets the ball out of his hands quick. I really think he's a better athlete than people give him credit for.
Yeah.
Like 3rd and 2 late in the ball game versus Ohio State. What does he do? He runs it in for a touchdown, right? So I just don't understand the pick for the Cleveland Browns over Shedeur Sanders. I don't know what they're trying to do by drafting Dylan Gabriel in that spot. I really don't.
I really thought Dylan Gabriel was going to be a late round guy that actually went to like the Miami Dolphins.
Yeah.
'Cause I thought that he would be able to replicate a little bit of like what McDaniel was trying to do with Tua, playing in rhythm, being able to hit the back foot, get the football out quickly. He's a lefty just like him as well. So I thought that was like one of those obvious things. Now, the one thing though, like Stefanski and what he does offensively, something that Deshaun Watson did not do well when he was the starter, is just like knock him down the play action passes where we have the home run
Because
shot
like
for you.
you got to alter their entire system that Kevin Stefanski runs
I
for
don't-
Deshaun Watson.
Yeah, well, exactly. He didn't get to do the things that he wanted to do as far as get under center, let's run the football, let's do
Exactly.
play action pass. See, I think Dylan Gabriel will actually be able to do that in a sense very well, right? Because I do think he'll be able to get to the line of scrimmage with his experience and say, hey, it's a 2-eye, we're running this.
Yeah.
Hey, it's a 3, we're doing this.
He's good point
We're going to
shooter.
manage the
Absolutely
football
is.
game. And then when I have the shots where I can separate myself from the line of scrimmage and see better in these play action shots, he'll be able to manage those and make the proper decision and take advantage.
But here's my thing.
Yeah.
In order to run the play action shots, the quarterback has to have the ability to be on the center. Like
Yeah, he's never.
you need to be on the center.
No doubt.
Yeah, the nice
We can
thing
say
is-
that for
yeah.
every college
Yeah.
quarterback, though. You know?
That was the one thing about Shuck. I watched Shuck take one play action drop under center, and I was like, oh, he's an NFLer. Thank God he can do it. You don't see it the rest of these guys. I will say the one thing for Gabriel, I think about Pickett, I think about Flacco, I think about Gabriel, and what that quarterback room and competition is going to look like. Neither Pickett nor Flacco has any twitch, not in their legs when they move in the pocket, nor in their arms, right? Those are prolonged deliveries for both those guys. If Stefanski wants to be a little bit more spread, a little bit more RPO, where he moved with Deshaun Watson, I would hope that he would move back to play action. But if he wants to be a little more spread in RPO, think about Jerry Jeudy and some of those underneath separations. You want a quarterback who can throw from adjusted platforms and has twitch in the arm, and that is Gabriel. That point guard style, right? You brought up Tua Tagovailoa, a common comparison for Gabriel. Ball out in 2 seconds, out in 2 seconds, out in 2 seconds. That Gabriel brings that Pickett and Flacco don't. That's kind of a different skill set.
Can I ask one question, just kind of to the group here? We've mentioned a lot of names. We asked a lot of questions about this particular pick. Where's Quinn Ewers in all this?
Good question.
On day 3, probably. I mean, like, I think that.
We just had Dylan Gabriel go.
Yeah, so honestly, at this point, I
Well,
mean,
so he might go here at either 98 or 99.
Taylor O'Girlsma's going to go out of Canada at this point. Like, I don't know. I don't know. I mean, like, Gabriel over Shedeur is astonishing to me. I continue to reel from it. I just think Shedeur is so remarkably better quarterback prospect. And so if Ewers goes or anybody else goes above Shedeur, I'll continue to feel that way.
Do we need to start asking real questions that there could be something else here that we're not talking about?
I think, I mean, like, if there's something uncovered about Shedeur Sanders at this point, with the amount of coverage he's gotten, it would be astonishing. But perhaps there is. Those things usually come to light once the player is drafted. So we'll see. But yeah, I mean, anything could happen these next 5-10 picks. I wouldn't be surprised.
Without a doubt. I mean, but given the quarterback, Quinn Ewers, obviously still available. I mean, there's any number of different guys that could be.
Will Howard, Kyle McCord,
Howard,
we mentioned Riley
yeah,
Leonard.
I
Curtis
mean-
Rourke is a guy who I think can be on the NFL roster for a long
Good
time.
football
I'm not
player.
saying he's an elite starter.
Yeah. A good football player.
Jared
Knows how to play
Wilson to
the game.
the Patriots is sick. More offense to the Patriots. I love it.
I
Yeah,
love
it's
You
though.
got your center and left tackle for a long time, right?
Yes,
there.
sir, you did.
I really like though what Atlanta has done with their 3 picks so far.
Speak
though
on it.
with
A
James.
little bit
Pierce.
louder, Matt. Say it
Well,
louder.
no, I mean it's just and yeah, hey, maybe I'm a little biased too. Hey, I love Buckhead, baby.
Stick that chest out.
You know, you're right. I love Buckhead. My wife loves Buckhead even more. But Jalen Walker, right? All right. So high energy football player. We get that. Does he have all the tools that you want to see from him? Maybe not yet. All right, but. Went with like the energy and the fact that he's just going to be a disruptor. Okay, great. James Pierce, athletic freak, no doubt. Some off the field issues, but man, he's going to be an immediate impact off the edge and bring just speed immediately and length, right, to sideline at the defensive end position. And then Xavier Watts, just like a playmaker, right? That's really what
Football
it is.
player.
A football player is
Ball hawk,
right,
too.
right? And that's where I feel like Raheem Morris. Really good job. Everyone was giving him crap a year ago about you didn't get the edge rusher. You didn't get the edge rusher. It's okay. Well, you got Michael Penix. He's going to be awesome, right? I really believe that he's going to be awesome in his skill set. And now you're getting 3 really good football players that uplift your defense right away.
Harry and I were talking about it on the way in today, and I felt like it was maybe the biggest coin flip draft in the first round of any team, where the high end could end up being really, really high. If Jalen Walker sort of finds his niche, fits in early, he has the ability to take over football games. And that's not just on the ball. That is off the ball as well. He has those capabilities.
Yeah.
James Pierce has twitch, quickness, speed, unlike almost any edge defender we've seen come out of the draft in a long time. It hasn't shown up on the field the way you would want it to. I do think some of that is by design of teams they played against.
Right.
This kid right here can just play ball.
That's right.
And you put the film on, there's not a lot of the speed that wows you. The size doesn't wow you like an Anthony Poindexter at Virginia a couple of years ago, whatever. But he knows how to find the ball. He's not afraid of contact. He can play near the line of scrimmage. He can play back off the football. He is literally just that. He is a football player that knows how to go help his defense win games.
That's right.
So when I look at the Kansas City Chiefs, them losing Justin Reed, I thought they were going to take a player like Xavier Watts.
Yeah. I thought safety was going to be on their board as well. They have a Jaden Hicks, who they took out of Cincinnati last year, who came along nicely for them, but they're pretty thin at safety. But no, with Watts, you remember last year it was Justin Simmons underneath Jesse Bates. So
Right.
Justin's going to be a good vet for us. He's getting a little long in the tooth. 2 years before that was Richie Grant. Okay, we drafted this guy's getting to develop. He didn't come along. The Falcons are like, look, we have Jesse Bates. This is one of the best safeties in football. With safeties, you always want to have two. Because you want to have the ability to interchange. You want to be able to, show the field safety, show the boundary safety. Oh, yeah, he's going deep middle for sure. And then you switch it, right? At that one moment, that big third down, you get that interception. And so when you have a player like Jesse Bates, you really want to have a good Robin to that Batman, because it unlocks a new level for Jesse Bates, because you can be a little bit more disguising with him on defense. Xavier Watts, well-rounded player, does everything very, very well. I like to pick a lot.
Toughness, too. I was on the sideline for the Sugar Bowl. I'm pretty sure he dislocated his shoulder, and 2 plays later, he was back in the game. I mean, he couldn't move his arm walking off the field, comes off, gets the tent. Same series, he's back in the game, going out there trying to make tackles.
And this is why we love guys like him, like Colson Loveland, who played with the injury too. Like you can't fake those things, right?
No.
The passion and love for the game, the urge to get back out there. So I love Xavier Watts. I think he's a fantastic football player. And Raheem Morris is going to get everything he can out of that football player, because he's a phenomenal leader of men and a great motivator, and also just a really good football mind as well.
At the end of the day, what he did, Matt, to that defense, he made them a lot more capable than they have been.
That's right.
With just athleticism, ceiling. Jalen Walker is a freak show. And the thing about Jalen Walker, too, similar to Xavier Watts, talk to him for 10 minutes, and you'll cut your pinky off to get him on your football team.
Right.
Like, that's the kind of human being that he is. He is serious business, all ball, but he's a guy that you just want to root for in life. And then you see him off the ball, track down a little flare to the running back, and you think, goodness gracious, how does that guy run like that? Then you see him line up and rush the passer, and he can dip and rip, and then he can run over a tackle, he can run around a tackle. Yeah, he's 6'1", he's 240, but he does things that look a lot lighter than he is, and he does things that look a lot heavier than he is.
Right.
He's a car crash waiting to happen, too.
I think versatility is an advantage here, to where some people might say tweener, or how does he fit, or what can he do better than everybody else. He just does a lot of things really good, and he causes a lot of problems.
And he plays hard.
And we talk a lot of times defense, like a lot of these flex tight ends. How do you identify him? Is he a tight end? Is he a receiver? Some of the backs, like that can come out of the backfield. How are you identifying that guy right there?
Yeah.
Is he a linebacker? Is he an end? Is he an edge rusher?
Yeah.
And who are they competing against in the division? Well, we got to stop Baker Mayfield. And what does Baker Mayfield do? He's got a rocket for an arm. He aggressively throws the football down the field. He occasionally holds onto the ball because he is trying to make those big football plays. And he's a very good scrambler, right, in clutch situations. So a guy like Walker is perfect, because he's going to play hard all 4 quarters for you, and you're going to be able to move him around and use him a different light, and he's going to finish the plays, right? And that's something that we haven't seen from the Falcons in the past, right? They kind of lost that identity, right, that Dan Quinn built there, right? And when he left, that was never really recaptured again. So the hustle and tenacity and viciousness to the football, I think, is really what Raheem is going after with this draft.
Go put that first Texas game on. He almost operated as a different kind of spy, because one thing Sark is brilliant with is releasing offensive players late.
Right.
So he'll take a tight end and he'll leak them out late. He'll take a back and leak them out late. And Walker almost operated as a spy on the late departures from the line of scrimmage, from the tackle box. He should not have been able to catch those guys, and he did on a very regular basis, but he did it in one-on-ones. So a back out of the backfield, a tight end out of the backfield, where that's usually problematic for a safety to come all the way down, or a corner to retrack in zone coverage and make a play on. Walker's getting from the tackle box all the
Did
way
he get
outside
drafted
the
yet?
numbers to be able to make those plays on a regular basis. There's just not a lot of humans.
And
that
what
can do that.
uniform is he going to
He
be
still
in
ain't
now?
get drafted yet.
Falcons.
Falcons uniform. You know what? You know what? There's no reason.
Yeah,
to
go ahead.
ask.
Yeah, we haven't seen it all
There's
night.
no reason to
all
ask.
night for
Bring that
We
hat
might as well
out.
just bring it out.
404, that's Jonesboro right there. Yay, yay.
Here we go, baby. Mr. Walker, welcome to Atlanta.
Welcome to
Mr.
Atlanta.
Pierce Jr., welcome to Atlanta. Mr. Watts.
Get Chuck Smith in there.
Welcome
work
to
with James
Atlanta.
Pierce Jr. Get
You're
Chuck
right about
back in
that.
there and let him
Mr.
go.
Watts, everybody.
You know Chuck is with the Ravens.
That parade
Mike
down
Green.
Peachtree-
Probably why they were second in
Atlanta right now.
Mike Green.
that parade
sacks
down
last year.
Peachtree, we're getting there, okay? We're getting there.
right.
You know where we're not getting, or
be there.
Shedeur Sanders is not getting. He's not getting to Las Vegas. They
Wow,
took
2
Caleb
tackles
Rogers
off the board there for the
and
Ravens.
Charles Grant.
Yeah, I don't
so
mind. I
it
don't
does
mind.
not look like we will be hearing his name tonight.
Yeah. Raiders right now, Ashton Genty in the first round, Jack Bash, a wide receiver in the second round, a player whom I love and who fits wonderfully with Chip Kelly. Can do a lot of things after the catch, extremely tough runner with the football. So that's a very nice fit. They go defensively, they go Darian Porter at corner, but then this back-to-back spot here. They took Caleb Rogers, who's a tackle at Texas Tech, is probably going to be a guard, maybe swing tackle at the NFL level, and then Charles Grant, man, the Charles Grant, William and Mary film is some funny stuff. Dude, Charles Grant's the dancing bear out there, right? I mean,
Yeah.
he is so stinking light on his feet.
Nimble.
Grant was a wrestler in high school, right? And he wasn't much a football guy. He was a Virginia Safe memory serves wrestler. And then he started to get a little bit more serious about football when he
not know
realized
who
the
was
future
calling
might
you?
be there for him. Goes to William and Mary,
be honest,
immediate
I
success
did,
at left
but
tackle. He starts putting on mass. He's 300 pounds. He looks great.
Crazy.
The
At
transfer
least I
calls
saved
start
the number.
coming. He says, this is the program then
Hold
that
on.
I started with. This is the coaching staff that
You
believes
won't
in me and
believe
developed
what
me.
I'm doing
And he
right
stayed there. William and Mary, the tribe, for 4
Some
years.
bullshit.
And man, the scenery
No
of film,
gas.
it's both impressive and useless, right? Because it's like, all right, this is amazing, but also you ain't gonna be
Cutting your
throwing around 215-pound edge rushers in the NFL. So he's a
Hope
project.
not
He's
cutting your
expected to
hair.
be a year away from being a year away.
No,
At left tackle, the
I
Raiders have
was
Colton Miller,
next.
right? And he's
Why
on the
did you-
final year of his
why
deal.
like 2 hours
He's holding
ago?
out of April team activities.
Oh,
so
you
he
taking
wants
his
a new
makeup and
deal.
stuff?
It was apparently a trade conversation.
it's not-
I
no,
think the
yeah, but it's not
expectation for
about
them
the
is that
makeup.
Charles Grant Miller, when he came out of UCLA, was a highly athletic
Not just
project, and
season
here we
four.
are now with
How do you look?
Charles Grant.
Oh,
I think
yeah,
they expect him to be
season
that
food.
heir
Oh,
apparent at left tackle.
You said the
could've
name,
guessed
Chip Kelly, and what is Chip Kelly inept with? Screen game.
Yep.
Tackle's got to get out in space.
Polars. They want to be able to adjust everything. Yep.
Pin and pull.
Yep.
You and this
Counter
season-
power. Tackle's pulling
I know what I
around.
got.
He's nimble. He can do that. He can get out in space. So, especially from a developmental standpoint, give him a year to figure the physicality and the speed out, and then you've got that ability to
I'll be
move
with you,
to fit
shit.
right into what Chip Kelly likes to
He's
do.
going to have a lot of
You
fun in
like
practice
seafood, right?
getting
No, I
better
don't
at
like
the
seafood.
NFL
I
level with
love
Max
seafood.
Crosby,
That'll be-
opposite
that'll be
side
a
of him.
blast.
So
Yeah.
that's a good way to
Okay,
be
look.
introduced to the
Iron
NFL
sharpens
level.
iron, as they say.
That's
I
no
remember
doubt.
watching Jordan
I
Mailata
ain't
at
gonna- I
Eagles
always
practice.
get- I gotta
he
get
would
lobster.
finish
I love
every single day.
lobster,
They'd be all done. All the
trout,
players would go back
shrimp.
in, and he would go stand
Lobster
out
is good, but they got
there
lobster
with edge rushers
That's
and
all-
just
yeah,
get
that's what-
mollywopped
yeah,
for
right,
4
yeah.
hours,
Lobster
right? Just
with the
just
eggs
and
and
like
sausage
bottom of the
and
roster
crab,
guys,
yeah,
right? Was
everything.
taking him, club rep,
need
club
all
rep,
that.
club rep, just beating him. And then they would walk him back and say, "This is what I'm doing to you."
I
As they
was
do hands, say,
I was
"Okay, here we go,
heartbroken
here we
by
go."
matches, but,
You
you
got
know,
if you're going to be a developmental
always
tackle,
respect
right? And
someone
it's
that
usually when they
stays
go,
at
right?
the
We saw
end, but
Giovanni
I think
Manu
you
out of British Columbia at this spot last year. If you're going to be developmental tackle, you're
Nah,
going to take
if Cooley
some
gonna fall in love with me,
lumps
that's
at the
fine.
NFL level, and a lot of it is just
You could-
right. Do
you
you have the
could Cooley
constitution? You have
fall
the
in love
confidence
with
for that. If you
What'd
get
you say?
through it, Charles Grant it moves and
I said
is
you
built
could
like
Cooley fall in love
a
with me.
top
It'd be
echelon
cool.
NFL left tackle. It's just we're a ways away from that.
Yeah, for sure.
One to watch.
You have 3 more picks
I
here.
can't hear you. Your speaker's over.
Obviously, Shedeur Sanders still on the board. We've got Jalen the Royals. I'm just looking
It
at
can
some guys here.
be somebody
Jalen
that
Lane out of
potentially
Virginia Tech
fall.
wide receiver. Love him. Cam Scadaboo still on the
That's what I'm
board.
saying.
Gunnar
I don't
Helm,
want to do
Dylan
the
Sampson.
delusion stuff.
You know,
Get
Quincy
things-
Yeah, you wouldn't
Riley,
be delusional, it's
HD, another
reality.
great player,
Louisville.
still on the board. I mean, there's tons of guys here. Miles Frazier,
I'm about to
Look
say
good.
Upton
I
Stout.
appreciate
Lord
it.
have
Stout.
mercy.
Blessed and highly favored.
Hilltoppers. Has anybody else been to Bowling Green, Kentucky? Wonderful place.
Multiple
Yeah,
times.
you look
Yeah,
amazing.
I
uh,
drove through it. Yeah.
I called
you
some
know.
Willie Taggart games.
That's why I'm.
back in my
That's
day.
why I'm on
Yeah.
your line.
Jordan
I don't know.
James still on the board. Will Howard. You know, I
Upton
mean,
Stout is pure
thought you
nickel,
called me,
right?
though.
He's like I want to say he's like 5'10",
You
a buck
try-
80.
you know
if
what you
memory
want. You don't
serves.
just let it go
But
that
they
easy.
had there in Diamador Lenore, 5th rounder out of Oregon. They were highly successful with that model.
Yeah.
It's just interesting to me that they go for that
Respectfully.
size of a player because they need an outside guy, right? Renardo Green is starting there. They lost Tarvarius Ward. They have Trey Brown, the veteran, kind of holding down
They
that
shouldn't even
spot.
know me. Have
There's
you?
no team in the league, man, more
Oh,
comfortable with
listen.
smaller corners
Spirit
than the
and
Niners are.
energy,
I don't know where the
I can
spot is
tell
for
by your
Stout on the
spirit,
field.
like, over-
But again,
like, I
like we're
already
talking
know.
about Fitz
Well, I
and
meet you,
Moles,
it's probably
you
gonna
want to be
be worse.
successful as an undersized guy at corner. San
I'll
Francisco's a
probably
good
see
place
you
to
as
land. They know what to do with
like,
those
you know how
guys.
people
They
banking on all
six,
defense,
so-
too.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, you think they were focused on one side of the football
Right.
here
What you
so
want,
far in
Em?
this draft?
Well, I mean, they lost.
I think they also bank on the defensive line,
no,
though, right?
one-time thing.
Getting home.
Oh, 100%.
Absolutely, yeah.
But they lost Talanoa Hufanga, Dre Greenlaw. They lost Charvarius Ward, like you said, on the defensive line. They lost Malik Collins. They lost
Hargrave.
Hargrave as well. They lost altogether, I think it was cumulatively around 3,000, 3,500 snaps from the defense last year. They didn't have the money to put around. And so, yeah, you have to go for that aggressive approach, right? Just kind of throwing bodies at problems and seeing who can start and take some reps for you. Robert Sala's there now. Good defensive coordinator. He'll make it work, but it's going to be painful in the Niners defense for at least a season.
and I give that
100%. I
person
mean,
more
this
points
feels
for
like,
actually
one of the
fight for
things that
something.
people talked about over the last couple of years with Brock Purdy is like, hey, like
He
you got to
definitely
take
got some
advantage of that
points
window
for
because he's not going to get
for sure.
cheaper. And you were sort of hoping that the rubber was going to hit the road. That was sort of why the whole thing was like, hey, they got to win now because now you have to hit on these picks: Michael Williams, Alfred Collins, Nick Martin, and Upton Stout.
So I will say this though: the San Francisco 49ers organization, they have a history on finding diamonds in the rough.
Yeah,
Like a rich history of being
That's loud.
They've been very good in the secondary. Hufanga was a day 3 pick. Malik Mustafa last year, I want to say was a day 3 pick. Jair Brown, they took in the 3rd round. Yeah, De'Amaro Lenoir's 5th round. They love to fill out the secondary in this range. Oh, there's Savion Jones.
Savion Jones.
Yep. I was hoping he'd go day 3.
They traded up with your Eagles.
The Broncos did?
Yes.
Yeah.
To get him.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I kind of like Braden Swinson a little bit more. Savion Jones, a heavier edge.
It's what style you want.
Right.
Yeah.
A little more stiff, but a lot of power, a lot of strength. Not afraid to play the run. Will go down the middle of you. See 280 pounds, so he's not your twitchy, flexible James Pierce type edge defender, but the motor does not quit.
We'll talk
He has
later.
great
Let me finish
hands.
my Super Bowl.
Yeah, he's creative. I think kind of. He's one of your terms.
I'm trying to be
A little bit earlier. Like he's crafty
I know you
in
got the
finding
gloves
ways to
on.
the quarterback. You
But
see
one,
fun
I'm
right
trying to
there.
take
Stay
my
square, plays flat back down the
I
line
don't
of
want to be all
scrimmage.
like,
Just a
so
good football
I'll play
player,
back, I
but probably a
promise.
little too heavy to be that twitchy edge defender that a lot of people would normally think about, but he's tough. He's rugged there at the end of the line of
Yeah.
scrimmage.
There's a wonderful draft success story on the Broncos right now named John Franklin Myers, right? He came out of Stephen F. Austin in this mold, right? 6'3", 6'4", 270, 280. Where are we supposed to put you? And same thing with the craftiness. Franklin Myers didn't win in a lot of traditional ways. You expect, he's going to be a bull rusher. He was all slants and twists and crashing into gaps. He was a very odd player. The Broncos there with Vance Joseph, we like this sort of a guy because he sows chaos, right? I'm going to put a big end out there. I'm going to be strong against the run, but then I'm going to send blitzes. I'm going to have you go screaming from the C gap into the B gap into the A gap, take the center, knock him off his heels. Zach Allen will clean up for me. Nick Bonito will clean up for me. And so when you watch Savion Jones, you cannot help but see John Franklin Myers. The team that currently employs John Franklin Myers goes and gets the guy. They're going to understand how to use him.
He likes big people too. He does.
Yeah.
That's your Bill Parcells rule, right? Big people win football games, plain and simple.
I think when you're going to move around a lot too, defensively, like you mentioned, twists, stunts, slants, different pressures, the extra effort guys are the ones
They
that
pick.
oftentimes,
I mean, the
you know,
Browns at
make
least
the
they pick
play.
somebody
That
who was
big loop
valid.
Critical
coming
point,
around.
right? You crash into the center.
think
Okay, I
that's
picked him.
throwing
I'm done.
dots, nigga.
Well, look, there's the quarterback, and you want to have the hustle to go ahead and make that play. Absolutely, yeah.
Last pick of the round right here, the Vikings. They have only made one pick thus far. It was Donovan Jackson out of Ohio State.
I am rooting for.
Yeah.
I got to see who
Who
I
else?
like.
Who else get the quarterback?
Miles Frazier would be very fun.
Okay.
I love Miles Frazier.
Yeah,
I love the Jalen
Seahawks.
Royals as
But
well.
see, the Seahawks.
Oh, Ty Felton.
Yeah, the Seahawks picked
All
somebody
right,
that
yeah,
had that
wide
was a
receiver
good
out of
fit
Maryland.
for their
Very
program.
late riser in the process. Ty Felton's been out of Maryland, and it's because the early film at Maryland. Late round guy. Maybe whatever. Check out the
Slimmer
speed.
body build.
Yeah, very slim. As the season went on,
Might
you
just
started
do-
to see the speed
might just
manifest
give Zakai,
itself
Josh
better in
Allen,
terms of route control. He
Austin
wasn't
riding
out of
Hellcat
control,
around
falling
that
down on the
corner.
field,
He
still
hauled
could
ass.
address the football.
That shit was
Showed a
right
little
as
bit
hell.
better yards after the catch as well, and he got a lot
Man,
better
I
in
just
his
had to
routes,
cover the
right?
whole of his
Speed
zippers,
guys,
though. I have
you
no
want to be able
more-
to 10 yards, 15 yards, and then slam on the brakes and get back to the ball. You start to see again body control really started to work out for Felton later in the year. He's been a very, very late riser in the process, but you saw last couple weeks you started seeing him a lot more, right? 2-round mock, 3-round mock. This is where he was expected to go. They're the Vikings, man. Jordan Addison, Justin Jefferson. They have Jalen Naylor. He's on a contract here. Naylor at Michigan State, very similar, right? 6'1", 185. That very thin build, but that herky-jerky style, and he can stretch the field for you a little bit. This is heir apparent in that sort of wide receiver mold.
And they had Ryan Kelly.
Seahawks got Jeremy Murray.
And Will Fries. And
are
Donovan Jackson, round one,
rounds
baby.
1 through 3. No Shedeur Sanders. Let's get our biggest takeaways. Sims, we'll start with you.
Ooh, biggest takeaways. Man, I know that they might not have the quarterback of the future and all that as far as Kevin Stefanski and the Cleveland Browns go, but I just love what they have done so far in the draft. I feel like they have totally upgraded some key positions, and I think Carson Schlesinger really is probably one of my sleepy favorite picks here so far in the second round there because I think he's a plug-in player right now. I think he's going to do very well in Jim Schwartz's defense. And I think he's replacing potentially a player, like you said, Ben, earlier, who might have a career-ending injury. But nonetheless, I think he does a lot of good things. I also like Harold Fannin Jr. and how he has been drafted by them as well, and what he can bring to the table alongside David Njoku on that offensive side. So some good things, I think, for Kevin Stefanski, despite the fact that they don't maybe have that future quarterback locked into place. But the Browns definitely upgraded their football team with the depth of the add with Mason Graham in the first round.
Yeah, you know me, I'm going to go with the home team, the Atlanta Falcons. Being able to go all defense in this draft, but get 3 quality players that can be starters right now on day one.
I think that this generation
you can't go past quarterback here. And it's not just that Shedeur has not been off the board. Our man speechless over here, Dylan Gabriel's draft when he was. So outside of that, I'll give you 2 teams. Carolina Panthers, you go get Tetairoa McMillan, who is a catch radius machine, who's going to be able to help a quarterback that looks like he's beginning to come into his own again. It might end up being that franchise guy. Nick Gordon, I think, is a heavier end with twitch. He kind of fits the Panthers mold, the entire length of that franchise. But then you go get a guy who on third down can come in and give you that twitch. And Princely Rumon-Mielon, who I think can come out there and be a guy that gives you elite pass rush skills. And then, honestly, the Baltimore Ravens being the Baltimore Ravens. Malachi Starks is a football player at safety, can do everything. Mike Green, there are some concerns off the field, but he can get it done off the edge. He is a big, physical, twitchy end that can make plays. And if he's the later Emory Jones that we saw towards the end of last year, you got yourself another tackle that's going to be able to play for you. If it's the early Emory Jones, maybe not. But late last year, he really came into his own. He's got great snaps in him. And if you can consistently get him out of him, he can help your football team.
Dude, Panthers defensive line. Bobby Brown, Kershawn Wharton, and
third
Patrick
round, right?
Jones
No,
in free
third
agency.
round
They
over.
drafted Nick Scourton, Princely Rumon-Mielon,
second and
Derek
third.
Brown, and Jadeveon Clowney, and DJ Wano.
What they do?
Bodies on bodies, and everybody's big.
on
I
my
mean,
daughter,
that is a
There's
front
no way
right
in
there.
hell he
Yeah.
deserves to
Panthers
go
are
fourth round.
officially on
Untapped.
interesting watch this offseason. But for me, Patriots draft is the one with which I'm the most impressed. Will Campbell at 4, I thought was a lock it, shut it, forget it, excellent
sorry,
pick. I
yeah,
love the
100.
selection. They chased it with
he took
Trajan
2
Henderson in round
losing
2. We talked about
programs,
the
made
juice
him
of the running
relevant.
back position.
Changed
The Drake May
their whole
outlet, the ability to
dynamic of
run the
their
ball, take some of the
program.
stress off of him
Made
and
him
off of that
relevant
defense.
and
And then
winning
they go and they add
programs
in
in
the
bowl
third round a
games.
receiver in
On top
Kyle
of that,
Williams out of
he
Washington State.
damn
Very
near
high
created
ceiling
a
player,
high
a lot of
speed.
wiggle, a lot of speed, can be a good separator
With
for you.
Travis Hunter.
And then Jared Wilson
That's
out
how
of Georgia. I'm so
like,
surprised he was still
his star
available
power
at pick
brought
90. But
in,
Jared
like, you know how many
Wilson
people gonna
stepping
wanna
in
get the
at
ball from
center
Shedeur?
for David Andrews. Now
Like,
that
his star
vacated
power
spot
brought
is a
in.
franchise
That's
cornerstone
the
for
reason
them.
why the nigga went there.
Will Campbell and Jared
To
Wilson
play with
are
Shedeur
going to be
and to play DB for
franchise-defining
Dion.
players. Like these last 2 drafts, the Patriots are going to become quite a good team on offense over the next decade.
Look
And
at
we're going to look
Gotham
back and we're
State,
going to look
number
at
one
Drake
player in
May,
the country.
we're going to look at Will Campbell, Jared Wilson, Travion Henderson, and what those
That's
players
insane.
were as cornerstones of this offense. Wide receivers, a lot to figure out. Kyle Williams, Jalen Polk.
It's
Those
unbelievable.
4
I can't
names I
believe
just said,
this
I think a very, very rosy future for offense. In
I'll
New
just
England.
follow
That's
that
what
up
it looked
with, if people could hear
It was the
Stacey
third
Sproles,
round
the
when I
Georgia
saw it.
offensive line coach,
That
talk
shit
about
crazy.
Jared Wilson the way that he does, you would believe everything that he just said.
Nobody on the clock.
He
right now.
references him as that guy, one of the smartest players he's ever had, takes all the responsibility. And honestly, Georgia has had that guy at center for the last 4 or 5 years. There have been a couple of different players that have sort of accepted that role, and Jared's next in line. He's got quickness. He can get outside. He can get in space. He's physical. I agree.
Day
It's
one
hard not to
starter.
like the Patriots draft so
Day
far.
1 starter in the 3rd round. That's good.
You know what I
business,
like?
baby.
I like this group. This was fun. Hopefully we get to do it again next year. But hey, before we get out of here, Matt Sims, Harry Douglas, Cole Kublik, Ben Solak. All of these guys are fantastic at what they do. They bring a diverse just viewpoint of the game of football at all levels. Highly recommend you go find these guys on social media, follow them, make them a part of what you digest as a football fan, because you will be smarter for it. As you have seen tonight, whether we were all over on the board eating Oreos, how to eat Oreos, am I right, Cole? Or if we were over here talking about how if you got T-Rex arms out there, it doesn't matter, you could still be great at it. So thank you for joining us for rounds 2 and 3. You'll have to tune in somewhere else tomorrow on ESPN or ABC to see if Shedeur Sanders gets picked. We appreciate you joining us. We will see you again, hopefully next year.
57 touchdowns and 23 interceptions. In 7 years. In 7 years, though. You got hurt 3 times. All right, chat, man. We got restart this game. It's 2K or something. Or duty. Make sure I like, comment, subscribe, turn on notifications. I appreciate everybody talking. Shedeur Sanders undrafted again, second ever round. Insanity.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah, no.